The movie begins in a forest full of ash. A decaying corpse lies on the ground, and a malnourished, hairless cat climbs on it and begins to nibble on its feet. Nearby, a figure in an NBC combat suit is lurking. An arrow strikes the cat, killing it instantly. The person approaches the cat, pulls out the arrow, and puts it in the bag for dinner. Next, we see him walking down an abandoned road in a post-apocalyptic world in the year 2043. He is a wanderer traveling west, and his name is Eli. He finds an abandoned house and examines it for something useful. He tries to fill his canteen with water, but the faucets don't work. He checks a cupboard and finds a dead body. He takes the corpse's boots and cleans his weapons while listening to an old third-generation iPod. He cooks the cat and eats it, sharing a small piece with a rat that approaches him. The next morning, Eli wakes up and discovers that his iPod is almost out of battery. The car battery he uses to charge it is also nearly drained. Eli continues his journey west and encounters a woman with a broken shopping cart. She asks for help, but Eli senses bandits hiding nearby, saying he can feel them. The leader of the bandits pushes Eli, wanting to rob him. After a single warning, Eli suddenly slices the leader's hand off with a machete. He fights against the other 5 bandits at the same time and kills them all. He dispatches the leader, takes the valuables from the bodies, and walks away, continuing his journey west. As he continues on, his iPod goes dead. From a destroyed overpass, he witnesses an attack on a couple by a group of biker bandits. The bikers kill the man, assault the woman, and steal all her books. They leave, leaving Eli shaken but resolved not to get involved. He ponders which direction to take and eventually walks toward a city. He meets a shopkeeper and trades some wet KFC towels and a Zippo lighter for a charge for his iPod battery. While he waits, he asks if there is a place to fill his canteen with water. He goes outside to the bar across the street. The bikers who killed the couple arrive at the bar and hand over the books and items they stole from the couple to Carnegie, the mayor of the makeshift town. Carnegie is looking for a specific book, so he sends his illiterate thugs to collect all the books they can find. He looks at the books, which bring a random collection of pamphlets and illustrated books, and is less than pleased. He orders them to be burned. He takes a bottle of hotel shampoo and tells Redridge, his right-hand man, that the bikers should be rewarded for such a find. He goes to his lady, Claudia, and shares the shampoo with her. Downstairs, Eli trades gloves and an Arab scarf for a canteen full of water. The bartender hands the canteen to Solara and tells her to go out back to get water. She heads out to fetch the water, but Redridge steps in front of her. She pushes him aside and fills Eli's canteen. Inside the bar, a cat walks in front of Eli and hisses, and he pushes it aside. The leader of the bikers approaches Eli, ready to fight him for touching his cat. Eli smashes the thug's face against the bar and stands up to leave. However, everyone in the bar attacks him. He fights and kills all of them except one biker when Solara returns with the canteen and asks Eli to stop. Redridge and Carnegie's men arrive and hold Eli at gunpoint, taking him to Carnegie. Carnegie is impressed enough to want to meet Eli. He recognizes Eli's immense skill and the fact that he is also an educated man. He tells Eli that men like him, who are older but know things, are the future. He asks Eli to stay so that Carnegie can use his combat skills to maintain control of the town. Eli tells Carnegie that he is not interested in staying, but Carnegie forces him to spend the night. Redridge sends Claudia to bring Eli food. He notices that Claudia is blind and asks her if she has been blind her whole life, or if she was blinded by the Flash, an event that happened during the last Great War. She confirms that she has been blind her whole life. He thanks her for bringing him water. Carnegie decides that the best way to keep Eli in town is to have Solara, Claudia's daughter, sleep with Eli. Claudia begs him not to use Solara, but he sends her anyway. Eli does not want to have sex, but Solara begs him to let her stay in the room, knowing that Carnegie will hurt Claudia. They talk about the war, and Solara sits on the bed, discovers the book, and gets excited, wanting to know more about it, although she can't read. Eli wraps the book and refuses to discuss it with her. He shares his meal with her and teaches her how to pray. The next morning, Solara joins Claudia for breakfast. Carnegie is frozen in dismay as Solara tries to recite the prayer with her mother. She forgets the Amen, which Carnegie supplies. He then hits Claudia in front of Solara to find out if Eli has the book he is looking for. When Solara gives him the sign of the cross that she saw on the cover, Carnegie orders Redridge to fetch the book for him. When they arrive at the room, they see that Eli has escaped. Redridge kills the guard on duty and rounds up the men to find him. Across the street, Eli gets his battery and prepares to leave. Carnegie approaches Eli and pleads with him to stay and give him the book, a Bible. Carnegie tells Eli that he is not afraid to kill him and take the Bible. Carnegie believes that the righteous scriptures of the Bible are the best way to keep the town under his control. Eli tells Carnegie that he dreams of finding a city where people need the book, but he tells Carnegie that it is not here. Carnegie orders Redridge to shoot Eli as he walks away, but Redridge misses twice. A shootout begins, and Eli kills most of Carnegie's men and hits Carnegie in the knee. Redridge sees that Eli is fearless and reluctantly lets him go. Claudia tells Solara to follow Eli since she will be safer away from Carnegie. Carnegie receives treatment on his leg from a doctor. The bullet and shrapnel are removed, and he is bandaged. He tells Redridge to prepare the vehicles to chase Eli and recover the book. Redridge tells Carnegie that most of his men are dead and decides to use the book as leverage to get Solara as his concubine. Carnegie, though humorously, reluctantly agrees. Eli travels down the road until Solara catches up with him. She wants to join him, but he rejects her from the outset. She offers to take him to the city's water supply, an uncontaminated underground spring. Eli fills his canteen at the spring and then tricks Solara by locking her in the cave. She screams and calls him a liar, but Eli insists he is not, wishing her good luck and leaving. Somehow, Solara manages to escape the cave and follows the direction Eli was heading. She does not find him, but she finds the woman who worked with the bandits earlier with her broken cart. She tries to help the woman, but the woman insists Solara leave, not wanting to see a woman raped and killed. Two bandits attack Solara, and when they are about to rape her, Eli shoots one in the groin with an arrow and then shoots the other in the throat. Solara embraces Eli with tears in her eyes, and the two continue on their way. Carnegie's men and Redridge find the bodies of the bandits and determine that Eli cannot be more than a few miles ahead. Redridge finds a piece of Solara's tailored clothing and reports to Carnegie with discontent. Carnegie asks Redridge if he still wants her and returns to the car. One of his henchmen suggests they take a day off since their cars would give them away at night, and they might drive right past the duo. Eli and Solara sleep near an old cooling tower of a nuclear plant. Eli reads the book, and Solara asks Eli to read to her. He recites a passage from it and then puts the book away. She asks him to teach her to read, but Eli does not respond. When she thinks he is sleeping, she goes to take a look at the book in his bag. She sees it but cannot read. Eli pulls the bag away from her and makes her go back to the other side of the campfire, pointing his shotgun at her to let her know how serious he is. The next day, the duo departs and walks west. Solara asks him about the world before the war. He says people had more than they needed and threw away things for which others would kill today. She asks why he keeps the book, and Eli explains that it is the only Bible left in the world since it was slated for destruction after the war because the post-war population believed it was the cause of the war. He then explains why he keeps going west, which perplexes Solara, but eventually she accepts that Eli is acting on faith. He explains how he found the Bible, insisting that a voice told him where to go and that he would be protected. Solara thinks Eli is delusional, but says nothing. The duo arrives at an old house with a sign that says no trespassing. Eli tries to open the door, but a trap is triggered, and the two fall into a hole. They find themselves at the mercy of Martha and George, an elderly couple who have lived in their house for years. They ask why they did not obey the sign, and Eli apologizes, saying he didn't see it. They offer Eli and Solara tea, and then show a cemetery full of the people who attacked their house. Eli tells Solara it's time to leave, explaining that Martha had the shakes because the couple are cannibals who ate their victims and likely drugged the tea. As they leave, Carnegie's caravan passes and sees the duo coming out of the house. Eli and Solara re-enter the house, and George and Martha pull an impressive arsenal of weapons from inside the couch. A standoff ensues. Carnegie tells Eli to throw away the book. Everyone is ready for a shootout. A covered package is thrown out the window. Redridge looks at it and realizes it is a bomb, throwing it away and running for cover. Two cars explode, killing several men. Eli and the inhabitants of the house fire their weapons until Redridge pulls an RPG and blows up half the house, killing Martha. George starts shooting wildly, killing men left and right until Carnegie's men bring in a machine gun and blow him up, along with most of the house. Eli and Solara are cornered and dragged out of the house. Carnegie threatens to kill Solara, to the displeasure of Redridge. Redridge implores Eli to hand over the book, and Eli tells Redridge where he hid it. Redridge retrieves the book with a locked flap and hands it to Carnegie, who releases Solara. He says that God is good, and Eli replies, "All the time." Carnegie then shoots Eli in the stomach without hesitation. He puts Solara in a van with Redridge and a driver, and takes the book with him in another. In the other van, Redridge puts Eli's machete on the dash and laughs to himself now that Eli is gone. Solara uses Eli's bowstring she had in her pocket and strangles the driver until the car flips. The driver dies, and Carnegie's men turn to go to the accident site. Solara throws a grenade, exploding the third car. Solara goes to the driver's seat and sees that Redridge was impaled by Eli's machete. He pulls the machete out and exits the vehicle gracefully. Collapsing to his knees in penance, he dies. Solara drives away, and Carnegie opts not to chase her since he has the book, and they have just enough fuel to return to the city. Solara returns to the house and discovers that Eli is alive, as she does not see him there. She finds him still walking west. She puts him in the car, and he treats his gunshot wound with tape. She apologizes for losing Eli's book, but Eli replies that it is time to put into practice the lessons he learned, to do more for others than for himself. They drive to the remains of the Golden Gate Bridge, and Eli says they are close. He finds a boat and begins to row out toward Alcatraz Island. Fatigue and weakness dominate him, so Solara takes over. An armed guard calls to the duo, and Eli responds that he has a King James Bible in his possession. The guard lets him in. Eli is taken to Lombardi, the curator of Alcatraz, who has gathered all remnants of pre-war civilization, such as books, music, and art, and stored them in the cells until they are ready to rebuild and re-establish society. Lombardi tells Eli that they are missing a copy of the Bible, so Eli tells him to get a lot of paper and a pen. He begins to recite the Bible word for word, having memorized it over the last 30 years. Back in the city, Carnegie tries to open the Bible, but realizes he did not take Eli's key to the book's flap. He calls the engineer to unlock the book, and once it is unlocked, they see that the Bible is in Braille. In Alcatraz, a close-up of Eli's face reveals that he is also blind. Carnegie tries to make Claudia read, but she lies outright and says she forgot how. She says she can feel his wounded leg and that he has a fever, signs of an infection. The rest of the population in the town is looting the bar, and Carnegie's remaining men are fighting amongst themselves. In his search for the book, Carnegie no longer has enough men to maintain control, and the town has descended into anarchy. He collapses in despair. In Alcatraz, Eli shaves all his hair and changes into a clean white robe. He recites the Bible to completion while Lombardi writes it down word for word. Eli eventually dies from the gunshot wound, but completes his task. In a voiceover, he pronounces one last prayer for Solara and the world before he dies. He is buried in the garden of the Alcatraz courtyard. Lombardi places a new bound copy of the Bible on a bookshelf in a vast library, where a place has been specifically reserved for it. Solara pays her respects, takes Eli's machete and iPod, and leaves Alcatraz, walking down the open road to return home.